Welcome to the Winning Hand podcast, the podcast about Marvel Champions, one card at a time. My name is Boomguy. Thank you so much for listening and for watching. I'm really excited to have you here today. We are wrapping up our month all about Iceman. So we did a deep dive into Iceman where we talk about him for 4 episodes straight using different cards. They're going to talk about his kit as a whole. So at the end of this episode, we're going to have some kind of overall thoughts on Iceman, not just about the card today, but we will get to that shortly. First of all, I do have to introduce that we have a returning guest today. I have with me today Bananners. Welcome.
Hello. Glad to be back. How are you guys?
I'm amazing.
Excellent.
There is a disembodied voice that just popped. I have not introduced this voice. I don't know if anyone knows who this is.
I am so sorry.
This is the Red King himself, co-host of the People's Podcast for a certain number of however many episodes we've done. It's LazyTitan.
It's a
Too
number.
many.
It's me. I'm here. I've been here before. I don't know if people remember me. They may or may not.
Yeah.
For
You've
those
been
who
here.
don't, I'm here. It's me.
This is episode 83. I should have mentioned that at the top. If you're still listening this many seconds in, welcome. This is episode 83. I'm clearly the host with the most. I forgot to even say what number this is, but that's okay. That's not what you're here for. You're not here for numbers. You're here for content gold. So let us talk about it. We have a couple of listener emails today I want to get to. Then we're going to talk about the card of the day. Then we're going to kind of end with some overall thoughts on Iceman before we get to the 2 decks that we have to share today. I did a fresh deck that I published for the first episode of the month, and then I kind of rehashed older decks that I thought were cool for Iceman rather than publishing one each week. I do have a new one to publish this week, though. I said I wasn't going to, but I do. So I'm going to share a new deck that I will publish, or it is published if you're listening to this now. So let us jump right in and do our emails. The listener emails. We have 2 of them today. Usually I limit ourselves to 1, but sometimes the people who write us, the People's Podcasts, are so nice. I just want to read them both. All right, this one is from Michael. He says, "Your astonishing success with MCDC." That's the title, so yeah, take a bow.
Astonishing.
It says,
Sounds good.
"A standing ovation for all of your thoughtful and deliberate efforts organizing this glorious event. I expected to really enjoy myself, and I found the experience to be nothing less than tremendous. This guy must get paid by the letter. You can absolutely count on my attendance for next year's event. I am so impressed with these Fantastic Four and Dr. Doom sets. So much fun that I can't wait to get into them back when I'm home." He also asks, side note for Boomguy, I would love to get a hold of the Gore deck that you've mentioned on the podcast. I'm a Thor player, and I would love to play him. The God Butcher content is right in my lane. Big Thor fan. Gratefully, Michael. Michael, I already responded to you, so you have the link for that. Everybody else, if you want the link, you can email me or you can search in the custom Discord server. I didn't design it. With regards to MCDC, we've talked about that before. There was a convention a little bit ago, and it was a great time. I'm not the sole organizer. I'm a member of a team of 7 or 8 of us that organized it, so I don't want to take all the credit. But I'm the one here on the podcast, so I will say thank you on behalf of everybody who organized it. It was a great time. Thank you, everybody who came. It was awesome. If you didn't come this year, please plan on attending next year. We don't have exact dates yet, but it will be roughly the same time, late October 2026. Same rough location, area at least. I don't know if it'll be the same store, but it will be in this area, Northern Virginia, DC area. And we are already playtesting scenarios for next year. So we're going to have multiple scenarios, probably a scenario pack with mods and scenarios and everything. It's going to be really, really awesome. The website will be updated soon. If you want to get information about MCDC 2026, please go to mcdc.fun and sign up for the newsletter. Put your email in. We will not spam you. I promise. Your email isn't worth that much to sell either, so we won't do that. But what I will do is send you monthly updates. We're going to send a newsletter out to kind of cover, things that are happening, content that we're developing, the venue, when tickets go on sale, all that kind of stuff. So if you want to stay up to date with MCDC 2026, go to mcdc.fun. That is not a joke suffix. That is mcdc.fun is the website. Please go there and put in for the email. Okay, we have one more, and then I promise I'll let you guys start talking. I've been talking a lot. This one is from Justin. He says, "Kudos to the podcast. Hello, writing in as a long-time listener. I still remember first discovering the podcast and thinking to myself, how can talking about one card at a time be entertaining? But
Appreciate the
man,
heads
was
up.
I wrong. It is now my go-to Marvel Champions podcast. I love the show. You've also inspired me to revisit older cards that came out before I got into the game. A great example is the Falcon deck below, he adds a link, that focuses on muster courage. Falcons quickly become one of my favorite heroes, so maybe this build will make you a believer too. Keep doing what you're doing, Justin. It will not, I'm pretty sure, make me a believer. Falcon has been a hard sell for me, but let me ask my two co-hosts for today, LazyTitan and Bananners. One of you go first. How are we feeling about Falcon?
I have not played a lot of Falcon, but from the one time I tried him, he was fine. I wasn't like immediately turned off like you were, but I also was not blown away at all. It's interesting. It feels like there should be a hook there, but I can't find it really.
But
he's not terrible.
Bananners? Where you at on Falcon?
He definitely didn't jump to the top of my favorites list, so I'm not like super high on him either. I don't think I'm quite as low as you are, but maybe close. I think the issue I had, I've played him a few times when he first came out, but I haven't played it for a while. But I think the issue I had was no matter how you build him, there's always a dead card. Like it's a little bit like playing Rogue, where you could play into like certain types with her, but then if you're not playing, like if you play it a certain way, some cards are really good and then one card is dead. And so it kind of always just feels a little bit clunky because there's, you make this card good, but then that one's dead. You make this card good, then that one's dead. So it's a little,
that's what I've always felt about
feels
Vision.
Quite as good as you want it to.
Say that again, LazyTitan.
That's how I've always felt about Vision. My personal style, I want to lean into being dense or the other one. And obviously there are cards that are just literally dead if you are not one or the other. I have not played Vision in a long time because every time I try and play with Boomguy, I reach for Vision and suddenly he's very interested in playing Vision. So I don't really get the chance, which is fine. That's a similar idea.
Hang on a second. Welcome to episode 83. There are just two of us here today, me and Bananners.
Wow, being cut out of my own podcast. You know how much I gave to this company? You know how much I sacrificed?
No, I think Vision, I can understand that. Like, I think, he's just in different forms. Certain cards don't work. And there can be times, I agree, when you, like, for example, flip to dense form, right? You draw a card, but you may have drawn a card that only works in intangible. And so now it feels like a dead card. So I can get that to some degree.
It's not as bad as Falcon, though, for sure. Falcon's for sure a worse offender.
I feel like he wants to ready himself. Like all of his cards want him to exhaust, I feel like, or many of them do. His events are kind of underwhelming to me. The looking at the top card of the deck thing is like kind of cool, but there are not a ton of hooks outside of his signature cards with that. And the knowledge that you gain from that in the villain phase, as player counts go up, I don't play a ton of solo. Like it just isn't that valuable to know what one of 4 boost cards is. Like certainly it's not nothing.
Yeah.
I think in solo maybe it's it's your entire boost card, so it's maybe more valuable to know what that is. But Soup Kitchen's a cool card, but it's kind of awkward. It wants you to exhaust, and you have to have a support. And if you don't have a support, it feels like you're not getting the full. I don't know. Just a lot of it doesn't quite work for me. I fully recognize that part of my disappointment is because I came in with super high hopes. I'm a big Sam Wilson Captain America fan. I was hoping that Falcon was going to be cool. And the Captain America thing, the shield, that is a kind of, that feels awkward to me too. So
Very
all
clunky.
of it just kind of left me.
Feels like Talon Line should exhaust and not discard.
Talon Line, it feels like should just exhaust to ready you. Yeah,
a lot
that's
of his
really
upgrades
awkward card.
Discard, which also means you've got to like constantly go back and find them
Yeah,
again.
the one that lets you defend forever, that makes sense, right? That's a cool idea.
Yeah,
but
it's a preparation, which can be fetched back with practice plan. Talon Line
it costs
isn't.
a lot, but
it does cost a lot.
Costs quite a bit.
But I think there's value there, right? If you spend 4
sure.
on it, you can defend for the entire table in a 4-player game. Also minions, right? You can really just hit.
Yeah.
And then I think cards like cut both ways. Do you get
ever played Talon Line?
Talon Line, I just might be his worst card. I don't know.
I don't know if I've ever played Talon Line. I don't think I ever would.
Yeah.
It seems I don't know. I'm not a big Falcon guy. Anyway,
Well,
bit of a
let's
tangent.
get on to a hero that we have enjoyed so far, and our final thoughts will be at the end. But let's talk a little bit about Iceman, because we have a card of the day. Before we get to the card of the day, though, I am going to interject one more time. We've been doing content creator recommendations for a while. I don't always do them because I honestly run out of content creator recommendations at some point. There are only so many. So again, I'll say if you are a content creator and you're new in this space and you would like a shout out, just email me, winninghandpodcast@gmail.com, or hit me on Discord. I'm Boomguy. If you know someone, if you stumble upon a channel and you're not sure if I've mentioned it before, send them to me and, I'll shout them out. I have a list of all the ones I've shouted out. So if I've already covered them, I won't again. But the one I want to talk about today is one that is gaining in popularity. The channel on YouTube is called Crash Space. I'm sure some of you will know about Crash Space. He does primarily, or really only, solo gameplay. He does a lot of live streams, and then some of them are cut up into recorded gameplays. His production value is insane. He has like cards that go up on the screen so you can read them. He has like images. So when he plays a card or talks about it, it'll pop up on the screen, the image, so you can read it. There's like graphics and there's motion. It's really, really cool. He does really, really well. He has years and years of live streaming with another game called Netrunner in the bank. So he's been live streaming for a long time. He's known in that community pretty well, but he's just breaking into Marvel Champions this year, I think. So check out the Crash Space. He's got really good content. He will be on a future episode here. I've already booked him, so you'll see him down the line at some point. We're trying to do guests every episode. So he will be here. His name is Andre, and he runs Crash Space. So check out Crash Space if you like that kind of thing. Okay, enough with all the other stuff. Let's get to the card of the day.
The important
I'm going
part.
to share. Huh?
The important part.
Thank you. The important
The thing everyone's here for.
The thing that everyone is here for. This is the people's podcast, after all. And I just feel like we have to give the people what they want. So let me...
Serve.
They deserve nothing less. Here's the card of the day. Bananners, would you please read the card of the day and then we'll discuss it?
All right, here we go. It is called Ice Blast. It is a 3-cost event. Traded ice and superpower. Hero action. Choose a player. Attach a set-aside copy of Frostbite to the villain and each minion engaged with that player. Deal 3 damage to each enemy with a copy of Frostbite attached. And there is some flavor text. Thank God.
Mm-hmm.
It says, time to put these guys on ice. Iceman.
Classic.
Love that. He has 2 copies of this in his kit. Obviously this came in the Iceman pack. I don't need to say that. So let's start with the art. Generally that's kind of the first category we go into. Bananners, would you please explain to the people what we're looking at if they're listening to this?
So we have a giant ice blast is what we have. There's a big spiky blast of ice that is hitting, looks like 3 sort of minion-y looking guys, like they're probably guards or something of the sort in some
henchmen.
sort of, henchmen, some sort of underground bunker or lair or subway or something. And then way off on the left, you can just barely see a tiny bit of Iceman who is throwing that blast. It's very blue and gray and light coming out.
Yeah, it is.
Very blue, very gray.
I think you can kind of see Iceman just off to the side of the frame there, right? This is not custom art, I should say. This is from Iceman Volume 4, Number 1 from 2018. Those of you who read comics and want to check out the full spread. It's just kind of, there's like ice blasting. I don't know how else to say it. That sounds silly, but and there's like henchmen that are kind of stuck in the ice.
Crystalline blast, kind of through looks like some kind of
Big
hit
words.
on the ground, and then it explodes out like kind of freezingness. You ever throw or see the thing of like throwing the bucket of water in the ice?
Mm-hmm. I have.
Kind of looks like that a little bit, where it like freezes in motion.
Yep.
Have you ever seen a stalagmite? It looks kind of like that.
This guy even got it right.
Yes, stalactites are from the ceiling, stalagmites are from the floor. That is a galaxy brain science fact from
science.
Boomguy. #science, #hosted the most. Okay.
#boomguy.
Thank you. Hashtag boom. You looking for this?
Hashtag guy.
I think we have enough hashtags. This is not what the people came for. Okay, so yeah, I think the art here is a little underwhelming to me. I don't particularly like this choice. While it does show the ice blast, that like chunk of ice just kind of takes up most of the real estate of the image. And you can kind of see Iceman's like arm, and you can see some henchmen. The background looks like a random alley of some kind. There's like a door and a building. I don't know. It doesn't do a lot for me. What do you guys think?
So I initially looking at this art, I had the exact same like reaction that you did, but the more I looked at it, the more I actually really like it a lot, because
Okay,
I think sometimes what we're looking for on the art is, or what I'm looking for is like, if it's an Iceman card, I want to see Iceman. But the thing is this isn't supposed to be featuring Iceman himself. It's supposed to be featuring his ice blast. And it is. Like, it's very clearly like the blast of ice. And so, I don't know, I kind of think it accomplishes what it's supposed to accomplish, which is it's very clearly a picture of an ice blast.
Yeah, LT, what say you?
I agree. It also, I like that it just kind of focuses on, like, kind of like Bananners said, it's an Iceman card. It is Iceman feels like kind of implied in the art.
Yeah.
Like he's there. Whatever's happening in the art, either Iceman's doing it or it's happening to him. So I feel like just getting to see him blast a bunch of goons, a bunch of cronies, which is also what this card does.
Yeah.
I think it's maybe not the best like version of an Iceman card because again, he isn't really in there. But you get the idea, and it's effective. It gets across. It's not my favorite, but I don't hate it at all.
Yeah. It's very
what I hear you guys saying
specific
is
to
that it's
what the
very
mechanics of the
functional.
card are.
It's functional, yes.
It's thematic. Yeah, I agree that it's thematic. Like this is Ice Blast. Here's an Ice Blast, right? It looks kind of to me like it was taken from a larger comic panel and kind of cropped in because there's very little detail on the faces of the goons, the henchmen. And really in anything, it just looks like it was maybe a smaller part of
Looks
a
like a
larger
wide
image
shot.
you took out.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can kind of see something on the right side of the frame, just like a very little splash of orange, which must have been something more colorful going on.
It looks like a text bubble to me.
Or I wondered if pyro was also there. If that's some sort of fire thing.
It looks like an orange text bubble, like an inner monologue kind of thing. That's my
real
immediate read on it.
Podcast would have researched that frame
known.
that I read you that it was from and would have looked at it and tell you this. But that's not what you come to the People's Podcast
This is the
for.
People's Podcast. We don't read comics.
No.
This is well known. That would
just
require
guess.
us to
Freedom.
break our sacred oath.
We give you the freedom to look at them yourselves. I respect you
I respect
as an
you enough
intellectual
to
being.
know that you
do your
can
own
figure it
research.
out.
If you don't want to do your own research, ask your uncle on Facebook. So, Ice Blast, that's kind of the art. Do we have anything else we want to cover on the art? I mean, as with all these Iceman cards, if you haven't listened to the other episodes, I will say I love his graphic design overall. I love the different shades of that light blue.
The icy
teal.
blue is
It's
great.
just so clean. I love it. It's like no other card hero, which is awesome. Some of the heroes are pretty similar. There's a lot of red and blue.
It's a little bit Quicksilvery.
This guy, yeah, but
it's definitely more
colored,
pale blue.
but it's definitely icier.
For sure, it looks great
some
if you
might
build
say.
him in leadership, which you shouldn't, but it does look great.
Hold your tongue, because I did build him in leadership for today. That's a teaser for later.
Maybe I knew that.
That's called
and I called you out
foreshadowing.
specifically.
Hashtag foreshadowing. Hashtag
Foreshadowing, perfect. Foreshadowing is always best when you point it out.
Yeah, I know.
Just like segues.
So also the face in the corner, I'll say for the last time this month, really solid. Like that.
Yeah, a
One of the
good
better ones,
good
for
version
sure.
of the face in the corner.
Okay, let's talk about theme. So we kind of segued. We said this art is very thematic, and I think it's kind of functional in that sense. As an art piece on its own, it doesn't do much for me, but it does tell me about Ice Blast and explain what it does. It explains the mechanics of it to some degree. So how do we feel overall with like the cost and the name and the art and the traits, all of it coming together? Does this feel like a thematic singular piece? Bananners, you started off. You're nodding.
Gosh. Is it I think it is thematic. I mean, it is like very specifically something that Iceman does in the comics is this ice blast, where he's, as you can see from the picture, like he's hitting all of the minions at once.
Mm-hmm.
And so thematically, I think it's really specific to him. It's not something. There are some other like cards in the game that do vaguely similar things, but this does feel very much like an Iceman thing to do. The cost, I do wish it was like a little lower cost. I'd like it more if it was a 2-cost card, but I also think it can do a lot if you set it up right. And so the 3-cost isn't totally unwarranted. But yeah, I think it's thematic for sure.
As someone who has never in his life read an Iceman comic, I can confidently say, unburdened by prior knowledge, that this is definitely a very thematic thing that Iceman would do in a comic book.
For sure.
I said last week's card, Frozen Solid, was his most thematic card, and I stand by that. But I think this is pretty close, right? I think Frozen Solid just embodies so much of Iceman for me that that's where I landed. But I do think that this is a pretty close second, maybe. Just blasting ice at everybody and spraying a bunch of goons is cool. I do like that it's a superpower. I do like that it's ice traded. Like mechanically and functionally, that helps within the game, and we'll talk about that later. But it's just like cool. It's a cool trait. Like sometimes traits can just be cool. # Space Knights. And so I like that this is called ice. I think all of it works. Like looking at the picture, that is clearly an ice blast, and what it does clearly is represented in the picture. The flavor text clearly fits in that. Like it all just works for me. LT, what do you think?
I agree. I think it's very thematic. It, like you said, it's an ice card, and it is a superpower. I think those two things are represented pretty well in the traits. It does what you would expect an ice blast to do, and it does what it says on the box. It blasts goons and with ice, and you get to bring in his signature mechanic. Yeah. I think it's good.
Anything else to say about the theme here? Like we kind of covered it. I feel like it was short and sweet, but I just feel like there's not much to critique here.
Yeah, agreed. It's all pretty straightforward on the theme. It's all right there.
Okay. So then I want to talk about how powerful is this card, because that is like the next category, obviously, and that is, I think, a really interesting discussion. You hinted at the cost a minute ago, Bananners. So what about the cost do you not like?
So I wouldn't say I don't like the cost. I would say the thing about this card is it can be very powerful, and it can also not, because it depends entirely on how many minions you're going to end up hitting. And so, if you end up hitting, certainly 3, 4 or more, it's a powerful card, and it's definitely worth the 3 cost. If you've got 1 minion you're going to hit, you're talking 3 for 6, 3 on that minion and 3 on the villain. That's about it. It's not super powerful. So it's the power of it varies quite a lot, but it can be super powerful depending on if you're able to kind of build around it and set it up that way. Or if you're playing multiplayer, there's often just a lot of minions around, or if you're playing a high minion scenario. So it can really vary quite a lot. If you're playing solo with not a lot of minions, you're probably not playing this card at all, and it's not powerful at all. So yeah, there's a lot of variance.
LT, what do you think?
I disagree. I think this card is very good. I don't think variance plays as much of a role in it as you would think, because this is Marvel Champions, and unlike many other card games, this card's also a resource. So in a hand of 5 cards, you're gonna play a card in there, unless you're playing Hulk. So having a resource to play for those cards is always good. Like we talk about dead cards a lot, there are technically no dead cards in the game, right? Because you can spend them on stuff. Which I think, obviously that's like kind of a moot point because it's for everything, but I think it's especially useful for cards like this in hero kits, which aren't always great, but have great upside. The Iceman has a versatile enough kit that there's 3 minions, I have 2 minions even. Or even, I think, say as soon as you have 1, it's fine, because you're also Iceman. So you put 2 frostbites on people, and then you can flip down, and you have 2 frostbites out minimum, which means you shuffle in 2 of your Iceman cards, and you can get your stuff back. So he synergizes with himself very well. And this just lets you add out a bunch of frostbites. And then also they get -1 against the thwart against you when you flip down, or you don't flip down, they get -1 to attack against you. I think it's very good, and I think that you can play it basically anytime. It doesn't feel great to do 3 for 3 in a frostbite, but it's also not the end of the world.
Yeah,
and
I mean, I do think the math of Iceman's cards is a little complicated.
Yeah.
It's complicated by the fact that you get a frostbite, right? So you have to calculate the value. So yes, let's say like LazyTitan's last point. Let's say there's 1 minion, and you just do 3 for 3 on that minion and then 3 on the villain. But you also now have reduced their following attack or scheme, right, by 1, and what's that worth? If you flip down in a solo game, then are you effectively thwarting for 2? Kind of, I guess, in a way, and that's not directly, but you're preventing some future scheme. Like, so I don't really know how to calculate that necessarily. I'm not a mathematician. I do like that this is a way to put frostbites out, right? There's sometimes when you're exhausted, Arctic Attack is better if someone has frostbite on it, or you just want to put frostbites to prevent, damage and activations. So maybe it's helpful just to get frostbites out, but you're exhausted or you didn't ready with cryokinetic perception, for example. So there's just like a lot of, I find the math of his cards a little more difficult, and this one in particular, to figure out like what is efficient or what is good. And for me, the way I play anyway, it's often just kind of like a gut feeling. I think if there's 2 minions in front of somebody, like this is for sure getting played. Like this 2 or more, this one's getting played. And then I love the game of, for example, a 3 or 4 player game, right? Okay, so someone has 2 minions in front of them. Someone has 1 minion, and another person has 1 minion. Well, I know this deals 3 to everybody. So how can I get a frostbite before I play this, right, on another minion in front of somebody else? Because this just chooses 1 player. So then it's like, okay, well, I'm going to hit this person's 2, but if I, basic attack mine, that's going to also hit this. Like, you just kind of chaining it up, and then you can really go crazy. And sometimes this card just clears the board and really slaps.
Yeah.
I also think that this card, because this is an archetype of card that we've seen fairly regularly. War Machine has his version. There's just one in regular aggression now.
Nick has one,
but I think this one does that in a different way than those other cards, in which this card has value even if it doesn't kill the minions.
Yes.
So, like,
agreed. Especially
obviously they all have their upside, especially if it doesn't. So
yeah,
most of the time you want this card to just set up and kill all the minions by doing 3 damage to them. But you first of all have a way to set it up beforehand to get more value out of it by, like you said, putting the frostbites on them first. And then even if you don't kill them, they're not like, you're not forcing other people to spend their turns to kill that minion, because it doesn't matter as much right now and it can be dealt with later.
Yep.
So it can also delay the whole table from having to deal with something that's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah,
so it's kind of pulling a little bit of double duty, which I like a lot.
Yeah, I like that a lot too. Like if a minion has 1 attack and you can hit this so that it doesn't die, like you've saved whatever player's engaged with it. You've essentially defended for them, which is great. Then they don't have to worry about it.
Or
yeah,
even
Bananners.
2 attack. 1 damage
is
fine.
Sure.
Yeah, I think the value, I agree with what you guys were saying about the value of the frostbite is a little bit nebulous to try to figure out. And I think that goes to a lot of the cost of the card and why it's as high as it is. Because unlike some of the other similar cards like War Machines, it's not just the 3 damage that you're valuing, it's also the value of those frostbites, which can be really, really helpful, especially if you're stacking them or getting them on some of those bigger minions or bigger villains that are hitting harder.
I also think the cost is not that bad. War Machines, like we talked about, is 3 as well, but it also costs him 3 ammo counters, which is his own sort of made-up extra resource that it taxes him.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not really 3. And then also, I believe Nyx is 3.
It's also 3.
I'm thinking of Gambit, but it does some damage, and then you can boost it obviously with his, so you get a little more value out of it.
And it gains ranged.
It gains
so
ranged. The standard one, not standard, but the aggression one costs 2, but does require you to exhaust a character.
Which one is that?
There's Bombs Away, I believe.
Bombs Away. Yeah,
Bombs
requires
away.
you to have aerial. Okay,
I
was thinking
aerial,
melee,
which is a limit.
Bombs away.
Also melee, but I'm thinking bombs away.
Yeah.
The
But
there's,
melee only
there's
hits
other
2 things. It's maxed out at 2.
There's other limits on things that I think this card is perfectly fine where it's at. Obviously, it would be incredible if it was 2 cost. That cheaper cards are always better. But I think at 3 it's fine, and nobody's mad about that. And then also you get all the other upside, which no one else's version of this synergizes as well with their kit. War Machine would just rather it didn't have ammo counters because it's just an extra tax on him. Nick is fine with it. Bombs away, you would wish it didn't need you to have aerial. This is just no extra bits to it, and also it provides the value you want and rewards you for already doing the thing you're trying to be doing, just putting frostbites on stuff. So
yeah.
3 cost cards are kind of hard to play sometimes, but I think it's not the end of the world.
I think I really like those 3 events, and there may be more. Listeners, if I'm forgetting one, leave a comment or send me an email or something. Nick's Spray Fire, and then this Ice Blast, and War Machine's, what is it called?
Scorched Earth.
Scorched
His
Earth.
does damage to everybody, too.
Yeah, they're
just
all a little
kit player.
different, which is
All
interesting.
a little different.
Yeah.
You do have to use counters, War Machine, but it does 3 to everything in play, which can be really, really, really strong. Obviously, if you're swarmed by minions. I think, Ice Blast and Spray Fire are very close, right? You choose a player and then you hit 3 against everyone engaged with that player. Nyx gets range, but can also be boosted, so he could hit for, I don't know, it's up to 6, right? He can add 3.
Yeah.
And this is not an attack.
This one is not an
what
attack.
I was just going to say, yeah, which
So it
kind of
doesn't
makes
need
it more
ranged.
powerful because it goes around. You can be stunned and still play this card. Yeah, it has some advantages like that.
Yeah, that makes it super powerful. So unlike Nyx, like you said, this one doesn't need range because it's not an attack. So you can just do it if you're exhausted, stunned, whatever. That's really cool. It avoids retaliate. So I think that boosts how strong this card is.
Yeah.
But it also means you can't boost it, like you can't play it with aggressive energy and get
True.
4.
Right.
Whereas Nick, you can get up to 7 or something if you
Yeah.
Yeah,
stack
if you
enough
use
things on
counters
it.
and is aggressive, yeah, you can get crazy with it. I think this is really cool, and I liked. I forget who said it. One of you made the point of maybe not wanting to kill these minions. I think most of these other minion clearing cards are kind of designed to wipe out a bunch of minions, right? This one is it actually doesn't matter if they die. Actually, even if they have a tough card, if it's a really beefy minion, you might just do this and slap it. It knocks their tough card off and also reduces their next activation. So there's value in them not dying, which I think is really interesting as an idea for this card.
I think it's fun, and I think it's a great example of Iceman's internal synergy. He's got a lot of synergy with himself, and I think this card's great at that.
Agreed. So then let's ask the question, how strong is this card? How powerful is Ice Blast? LT, why don't you kick us off? How powerful is this card?
I think Ice Blast is good. I think it's one of his better cards. I don't think it's his best card, but I do think it's quite good.
Is this best event?
Probably.
He has, just for those listening, he has Arctic Attack, which is a 2-cost event, which deals 4 damage to an enemy and adds Frostbite, or deals 6 to someone who has Frostbite. He has Ice Blast, and then he has 3 copies of Chill Out, which is a 2-cost event that thwarts you remove 3 threat from a scheme, and then attach Frostbite to an enemy. So those are his 3 events.
It does his thing most efficiently of the 3 of them. It adds the most Frostbite, or can, and also, like I said, is a great just way to just throw this down and flip down, just to shuffle all your cool Iceman cards back in. As soon as your deck gets low, you draw an Ice Blast, you just shuffle all your Iceman cards back in, and then you flip back up an Ice Blast again, and that will kill most minions.
Mm.
I think it's pretty good. I think I would put it up there for Iceman cards.
Yeah. Bananners, what do you think? Is this his best event?
I don't know if all his events are pretty good. I don't know if I could pick one that's his best one. I think it probably depends on the deck you're playing and the villain you're playing, but it is very good. All his events are solid, and this certainly is. It's definitely strong. I think it has, of all his events, it has the highest ceiling for how strong it can be.
Mm.
Whereas the other ones are kind of a little more, they do what they do, and that's about it. This one can do, in theory, if you've got a ton of minions on you, or on one person, it can theoretically do a lot in one event, which maybe does make it its strongest event.
Yeah, I really like this event. I agree with you. It probably has the highest ceiling. I think it also maybe has the lowest floor of his
Yes,
3 events.
true.
Um, for me, I think I don't know if it's his best, but my favorite is probably Arctic Attack. I love heroes that have a big damage event because there's often a time in the game when you're just kind of like, I need big damage. And
Yeah.
as a Jubilee lover, there's a lot of times I'll play Jubilee when you're just like, man, my signature event just like doesn't do that much. And you can boost it with her sunglasses, yeah, but like you can't play a second big one, right? It's just like, well, now I'm not getting the boost, and it's just kind of like 4 damage, which is like not great. But this one, it's like, okay, I can hit Arctic Attack, right? I can just like slap a frostbite on, and then I can Arctic Attack and just start blasting. So that's good. But I do agree this is the highest ceiling of the 3. And it synergizes really well with cards like Spoiling for a Fight, which is going to pull a minion out and then also ready you. Iceman loves to be ready. I suspect we'll maybe talk about some other cards that we build in decks with him in a bit. But overall power, I think this is pretty strong, yeah? It's not his strongest card, is it?
No, I don't think so.
No. I think
Okay,
some
I
of
think
his
the strongest
upgrades
card.
are pretty strong.
Yeah,
He's
I
a
would say
ton
his
of upgrades.
upgrades.
Yeah.
He has
His
8
cryogenic
upgrades.
perception is really good.
And his
I would
power
also random perhaps cheating pick, but I would say Frostbite is maybe his strongest card.
that
I don't know
probably
if
is a
that's
cheating
allowed.
pick.
It feels
Ah,
like a
man.
little bit of a cheating pick, but
I
it's
just
good.
think
I'll allow it.
he's such an upgrade heavy hero, right? He has, well, I guess some of them are technically supports, but I kind of class them the same. But he has 8 upgrades or supports in his kit, plus he has a 6 frostbites. He's very upgrade heavy,
Yeah.
not a
Yes.
super event focused hero. But he has some really good cards. I was always a little surprised. I mean, and not always. I didn't like Iceman when he first came out. I was a little disappointed. We went through a journey. I have a
Yes.
lot of people who still come up to me who listen to the podcast out of order, may have joined and know I love Iceman, and they go back a little bit. They jump back to a previous episode and they're like, oh man, you like suddenly love Iceman. Look, that was like a journey over a year. If you listen to it in real time, we went through some ups and downs together.
It was a
but
whole
we
time.
came out stronger. No, I just think you look at his kit, like, I looked at his kit to try to pick 4 cards to talk about this month, and it was difficult to find 4. I wanted to pick a diversity of cards so we talk about different things that they do, not just all of events or whatever. They're all really good. He's got really good allies. He's got good upgrades. He's got just so much good stuff. Iceman's great.
True. Snow Clone is also very good.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't love it, but it's good.
I mean, 2-cost allies are great.
2-cost allies are the best card.
And they synergize with the Ice Blast because you Ice Blast a bunch of frostbaits all over the board, and now the snow clones are hitting a minion or hitting
they can
a
actually
villain
clear it
with
up.
No, with no consequential.
And there's so many times when like snow clones just hit for 2 with no consequential. They get to
Yeah.
stay there and just like keep slapping. And like if you have 2 of them, if you hit the villain once, right, for 2 attack and put a frostbite, and then they just hit for 4 more damage. Like that's just good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah. Okay. Let's kind of migrate towards a final score, unless somebody else has something they want to add about power. Hearing nothing, we'll press. Let's do a final score, and then I want to spend a few minutes kind of talking about our overall thoughts on Iceman now that we're kind of completing the month, and Bananners gets to join us for this part, even though she's only here for 1 card. You get to kind of cheat. The other 3 guests didn't get this necessarily.
Woohoo.
I'll let Bananners have the final word on this card. LazyTitan, why don't you start off? Give us a final rating, 0 to 10, 5 is true neutral, blah, 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 blah. Let people know this stuff. What do you rate him?
I think I would rate Ice Blast. Or am I doing Iceman overall?
Just Ice Blast. We'll do the
Ice
card and then we'll
Blast.
shift. Yeah.
I'll do an 8 for Ice Blast. I think this card's quite good. I think it is, especially for Iceman, who is very upgrade and support heavy and also has a bit of an economy problem. I think it's great to have a big splashy card. He can often kind of only play 1 card a turn maybe, and I think this is his best option for a 1 card a turn to make the most impact. If you're Iceman, you didn't draw your resource generators and you just drew up your hand and you don't really got much to do, this is always a good option. Somebody has a minion and you can just lock it up, or somebody has 2 minions, maybe someone's playing a minion collector thing and they didn't get their defense card this turn or whatever. Someone's playing my Nick aggression deck and they didn't get to flip back to stealth. You can just help them out a little bit. there's definitely ways to use this, and a frostbite on the villain never goes wrong. Throw a second one on there with your basic attack. You've now almost defended for somebody, and then you can defend for yourself. I think it's a great option as a card to play. And once you have all your resource generators going, it's a great follow up to an Iceman card, because you can Arctic attack, put a frostbite on something else, and then or chill out, put a frostbite on something else, and then ice blast, and then, as we mentioned before, because it does 3 damage to everybody with frostbite, not the people that you choose. You could do some more damage there, maybe deal 7 damage to a minion, clear it out, or you do it before to set up an Arctic attack on the villain for a big 6, and then you're doing 9 damage to the villain and putting a frostbite on him, or you can do 7 and put 2 frostbites, put a third one on there. It just gives you a lot of flexibility, and I think that's super helpful for Iceman, who has often, especially who likes to slow the game down and kind of set up more. I think that helps him a lot.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. It's funny thinking about this in comparison to Rhodey and his Scorched Earth card. I think Scorched Earth is probably his worst card, and I've been on record saying that before. It's the one I just find is the one that gets played the least. Like when I'm looking at his stuff that comes to hand, and his additional economy just makes that more complicated with the ammo counters. This is not Iceman's worst card. I think this is really good. I do like that it has a high ceiling and a low floor. Like, there's a lot of variance in here. It really depends on you reading the board and setting things up and playing it well. It's not like, there's some cards that are like Swinging Web Kick, episode 1. 3 for 8 damage. Like, you don't have to think about it real hard. You don't have to
That's
set
all the
much
words
up.
on
You
that
just
card.
slap
That's
something
it.
for 8.
Solid.
This is like, okay, well, this person has 2 minions, and remember, the choosing a player only has to do with applying frostbite, right? So you want to set up like, okay, I'm going to get the frostbites here, so I'll start by putting a frostbite here with a basic attack to set up a huge wave. That's just cool. And the fact that it adds the frostbite really puts us over the top and makes it killer, I think.
It also
more ways
sets
to get
itself
frostbite out
up.
there.
You can just, if you draw 2 ice blasts, you can just slam 2 ice blasts, and you'll do a ton of damage to somebody.
If you can
You'll do
afford
at
8
least
resources
6
in a
to
turn,
villain.
then yeah.
If you got all your stuff and you just happen to draw it, like, it's a great setup for itself.
True.
Yeah, I think this is what Scorched Earth wishes it was, because Rhodey's version costs him his extra economy, and Iceman's version sets up his extra economy. This is like if Scorched Earth gave you ammo counters. It gives you what you want anyway.
And it synergizes really well with his flip down mechanic, which is undervalued, I think, with Iceman. I really try to time that, and this can really get you a bunch of frostbites out, then you flip and shuffle a ton of cards in, which makes cryokinetic perception super, super reliable when your deck is thin. So overall, I think for me, I'm going to still give it like a 7 out of 10. Because I do just think it has some variance. Like, there's times you draw this when I just can't afford it. I have other things I have to play, or there's only 1 minion out and there's other pressing concerns, and it feels bad to spend 4 effective resources to hit 1 minion in the villain. So I think you have to think about it. Sometimes there's times when it just isn't a great play. But 7 out of 10 on this card overall, I think, is a really solid card. Bananners, where are you at on Ice Blast?
So I'm gonna give it an 8. I'm with LazyTitan on this. I think it's a really solid, fun card. It doesn't get quite to that 9 or 10 level because, like we've talked about, it has some variance and it has that low ceiling where there's times where this isn't the card in your hand that you want to play, depending on what your board state is. But creates what I think my favorite thing about the card is it creates some interesting decisions both as you're playing when you're looking at what your hand and what the board state is, but also in deck building, deciding how many. This card can affect you no matter what aspect you're building in. So if you're playing Justice, you're thinking about how many frostbites you're going to spam across to affect schemes. If you're playing in Protection, you're thinking about the same thing, but for attacks and how you're defending things. And in Aggression, you're thinking about what kind of damage you're doing across the board. So, and the minion slaying and all of that. So it really creates interesting decisions no matter what type of deck you're building. Which I think it makes it a really, really interesting, fun, good card.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with you. I think there's a lot of stuff to explore here. I think there's Justice builds, that I have considered and not built, but there's things you can do where you flip down and you use things like Foiled and Great Responsibility, 2 cards I'm on the record saying I think are great. and then you're reducing all that scheme. Quake can kill a minion while it schemes for less. Like, there's all kinds of fun interactions with this. I think Ice Blast is a fun card.
I will say that I disagree with you on one point, Bananners, which is that I am always thinking about how much damage I can be doing, no matter what aspect I'm playing, and I don't care
Touche.
what aspect it is. So
It's because aggression is not an aspect, LazyTitan.
It's a mindset. That's right.
Thank you. That's
Bananners,
right.
if anybody was curious about what we've scored things in the past, what would you say to that?
Yeah, let me think about that. I think there is a spreadsheet they can look at. There does happen to be a Google Doc that I have created myself.
Is that maintained? Have you been maintaining
it has. I just updated it. I was a little behind recently, but I just updated it a few days ago, so it is up to date as of recording.
I love that.
Yeah, because I'm a crazy fan of the show who's been listening since the early days, and someone issued a challenge to look at the stats of all the final ratings, and someone, that was me, decided it was a stupid enough time-consuming project to have some fun with. So yeah,
what
there's
episode
a Google
did
Doc.
you join the show?
What?
Do you remember when you started listening? What episode?
When I
did you
started
start
listening, episode 1. Yeah. Yeah, fun. So fun fact, when this, right around the time you guys got started, I was just getting into Marvel Champions. I think I'd gotten into it a few weeks earlier. And my job at the time, I was door dashing and Uber Eatsing to make a living because I was kind of between jobs. And so I drove around all day, every day, and listened to a lot of music and podcasts. And this was one of the podcasts that I started listening to. Yeah.
Amazing.
Incredible.
It was a few rough early episodes for the 6 of you that were listening, but you're the real ones, and I appreciate
real
it. Thank
ones.
you.
Remember
for
episode
listening.
0.
One of the 6 listening. Now that I do hear there was an episode 0
There
that I
was.
think is still unreleased.
It is
And
unreleased
I am
at this
here
point.
to demand. I am one of the people. I am one of the original listeners, and
Okay.
I am here
Make
to
your plea.
demand the release of episode 0. The people need it.
State your case
I
before the
will
council.
pledge here and now that before this podcast ends, I will release episode 0. That is
So
that is a
exciting.
promise. That is
Before
a
it
boom guy
That is
promise.
a boom guy promise.
And
So-
when I release it, I'll say, "Boom! You looking for this?"
Boom. So what I'm hearing
Incredible.
is either it will get released or the podcast will never end.
Those are the two outcomes. I think, of
Realistically,
what he
those
said.
are the two outcomes.
Those
from
are
what
the
I
two
said, yes.
outcomes.
Yeah. I think it's more likely the podcast will eventually end and you'll hear
First one.
episode 0. But, I guess never say never, right?
All right.
Okay, let's talk for a few minutes briefly about overall kind of Iceman thoughts. So we've kind of sprinkled these in throughout this month, but one of the great things about these deep dives is we spend an entire month. We are normally a bi-weekly podcast. We become a weekly podcast for a month. We double our output and we really focus on one hero, starting with a hero card and then kind of going through 3 other cards that I think, represent the hero or provide, a well-rounded look at their kit. So I will have the last word because it's my podcast. I can do what I want. Bananners, you're the first. You're not the first. You're going to be the first here. Let's have you give us a few thoughts overall on Iceman, the hero, Iceman, the character, in the game, and what you think about him.
Iceman, not unlike you, I've also kind of been on a journey with Iceman. When he first came out, the frostbites looked really cool and interesting, and it was a new, different thing. And then I kind of played him, and it felt a little clunky, and I don't know, I didn't get really into it. And then I kind of randomly picked him up a few months ago, and just thought, I haven't played this in a while. Let's try this again, and had a lot of fun with it. And one of the cards that I really was drawn to in that game when I was playing him for the first time in a long time was Ice Blast. And then I think it was 3 days later, you texted me like, "Hey, do you want to come be on the podcast and talk about Ice Blast?" And I said, yes, I do. So yeah, it's been kind of a journey, and I've been playing him a little more to just sort of tweak my deck and figure him out and all of that. And so it's been really fun. Yeah, he's definitely come up a lot in my favorites. I think, I don't know if he's one of my tops, but I didn't used to play him ever at all, and now he's one that I think about reaching for semi-regularly. So Yeah. Overall, Iceman, I think really fun, really thematic. Like every single one of his cards sort of feeds into the ice theme. Every single one of his cards, you never read any of his cards and think like, I don't know why this is an Iceman's kit. This seems super random. Like they are all very on theme of ice and frozen and just being Bobby Drake. Yeah, Iceman. Good hero, fun to play, love him a lot.
I love that. LazyTitan, why don't you give us a few thoughts on Iceman? Where you at?
I like Iceman. I have not played nearly as much Iceman as the two of you, but in my forays into the hero, I have enjoyed him. He definitely requires a little bit of setup, which I have been disliking more and more as I move through the game. You won't believe this, but I've been enjoying playing faster and faster. But
Shocking.
I do like Iceman. I like his synergy. I don't utilize his flipping down mechanic enough, but I will say that superficially his cards are really cool. They just look cool. They have good colors, and I like that, which helps. But I think he's super fun. Synergy is always super fun. We talked about it before, and I think he has a ton of synergy with himself, which is always super nice. And there's kind of a fine line there of some heroes kind of synergize with themselves too much, and then there's really no point to add aspect cards, which is kind of how we talked about Falcon at the beginning. Kind of feels like it doesn't really matter because you're going to do the same thing anyway. Or I'm trying to think of another example. Someone like Drax almost, as much as I like Drax, Drax does one thing, and the other aspects are just kind of ways of getting him there. Doctor Strange is another one of just like, you're just going to play Doctor Strange cards because they're incredible. But I think Iceman, it does matter what you put in there because it just changes the way his kit is going to work. But his kit works on its own without it. And I think that's super fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Iceman's great.
I agree. Quick aside, I've been playing some Hawkeye recently. I've gone back to Hawkeye.
Poor you.
And like Iceman, he has a kit and War Machine. But there's a number of heroes like this who have a very self-contained kit. Like War Machine really wants to be playing War Machine things, right? And Hawkeye really wants to be playing arrows. And the issue to me with Hawkeye is inexplicably his bow has to exhaust to shoot arrows. So even if you draw a handful of arrows, which is ostensibly what he would like to do, you can't actually play them all. And then you just end up having a bunch of cards you have to get rid of, which means you're going to hit fewer of them with your quiver. It's like an unreliable hook. When it comes off, it's cool, and the cool idea is cool, but it doesn't quite work. Iceman, I think, is just the opposite of that. Like, his kit is very dependent on itself, right? You need to get these frostbites out. Otherwise, your snow clones like are not as good, and you need to get them out. You need ice cards because your power belt, all these kinds of things. Cryokinetic Perception is low-key maybe my favorite hero card in the entire game. I think it's just so fun.
Wow.
Like, it's just a built-in card draw.
Loves gambling.
It's a built-in card draw, and then you get that like sugar rush of like what's gonna happen. And when you draw that ice blue card, you're like, hot damn, ready up, and you just like it feels really good. I mean, Friction Resistance is up there as another like amazing hero card.
I've been on record. Friction Resistance is the best, most fun.
I know you have. Cryokinetic Perception might be my favorite. I don't know for sure. I'd have to look at them all, but it's up there for me. It's such a fun card. I really love all of his events. Frozen Solid is his most thematic, and it's just such a fun card to lock someone down. It's so cool. Ice Wall's great. Like across the board, he's great. I have also said I think that sometimes defending is a little tough for him because it feels bad to have the frostbite immediately fall off. It's almost like it wasn't there. It's just like having an extra defense, which is kind of awkward and I think in a way disincentivizes defending, which, you know, I don't know. I don't love that, but I usually try to focus on attacking to add those frostbites to stay. But yeah, Iceman is one of my favorite heroes. I did the Pub Meeple ranking a few months ago now. He's in my top 10 for sure. I think he will stay there. Yeah, I've been on a journey with him. It started out bad, but I stuck with it and it was paid off. Yeah, that's kind of final thoughts on Iceman. I'd love to hear people's thoughts, down below overall, not just the card. Leave us a comment, send me an email, winninghandpodcast@gmail.com, whatever. Hit me on Discord, click like, do all that stuff. I'd love to hear what you guys think about Iceman. Do you like him? Do you like his playstyle? He can be a little slower, but I don't find it too limiting or too like glacially slow.
But
Yeah. Galaxy brain puns here. Okay. Enough about that. Let's talk about our decks that we brought today, because I said I wasn't going to have a deck every week, and then I had one half of the weeks. But as the guest, Bannanners, I will let you choose. Would you like to show your deck off first, or would you like to show your deck off second?
Either way, why don't I just go first, I guess.
That works for me. Let me share your deck on the screen. So if you are watching this on the YouTube, you will be able to see this deck, and if not, you will hear about it as Bananners
in all its
reads her
glory
deck and talks about it. Here it is. I love the title.
I was going to say the same thing. Excellent title.
A+ title.
Yeah, I'll probably come up with a good title before I actually post it published
It's
publicly.
fine. It's unpublished as of now, listeners, viewers. It will be published at the time that this goes live, this video, this podcast. But yeah, go ahead.
All right, so we've got all of Iceman's cards, and then we've got 3 Bring It, 3 Spoiling for a Fight, 3 Surprise Move, each of the double resources, 1 Hall of Heroes, 3 Target Spotters, a team building exercise, aggressive conditioning, 3 Battle Furies, combat training, and 3 hand cannons. So the idea behind this deck is basically some minion collecting and then getting a lot of benefits out of those. You can use Target Spotter to collect those, Bring It to draw cards off of them, and play your Ice Blast to either freeze them or get rid of them, depending on how big they are. And you've also got Spoiling for a Fight. You've got a bunch of readies in the deck, too. So Spoiling for a Fight will bring out a minion that you're just going to blast anyway, and it readies you. And then Surprise Move will also ready you when you... You can either play your Ice Blast first and then use Surprise Move to finish off one of the bigger ones, or use Ice Blast on someone's and then use Surprise Move on a different player that you didn't choose for your Ice Blast. So, and then Hall of Heroes and Bring It are drawing you a lot of cards. So I don't have a ton. His kit is a little expensive, but and I've only got Team Building Exercise and his Power Belt for resource generation, but it draws enough cards off Crowd Connect and Bring It and Hall of Heroes that I found myself doing okay. And most of the rest of the cards are pretty cheap. So yeah, it's just kind of about ice blasting and readying, and it's made for multiplayer, definitely. So 3 and 4 player is kind of the sweet spot for this. I did play it two-handed, and it works if you're in like a more minion heavy scenario. So something like I played it against Mutagen and it did great. I don't know if I would do it again solo or two-handed on a non-minion scenario, because it's kind of made for that. But yeah, it works great. It was really fun to play, and yeah, it ends up splashing a lot of damage on the villain too with the overkill and the ice blasts, and often I'm using my first activation to put a frostbite on the villain and some damage there. I get my attack pretty high, up to 4, 5, 6 sometimes, and then so a lot of times I'm using my initial basic attack to hit the villain, put a frostbite there, ice blast across a bunch of stuff, and then that'll put a second frostbite on the villain. So you kind of like can sometimes stack them. And Spoiling for a Fight will ready you, and then ice to bring out another minion, then ice blast them, then Surprise Move to finish something off, and so on. So, and you collect a lot of Hall of Heroes counters that way. Flip down, put your Ice Blast back into the deck, draw a bunch of cards, and rinse, repeat. Makes it really fun.
I love that. I really like some of the choices here. I think Surprise Move is just like a sneaky good card for Iceman.
I was going to say that as well. I like Surprise Move in here a lot.
I love Surprise Move. That is a 1-cost event. When you make a basic attack with an upgrade attached, you get +2, and then if it defeats that enemy, ready your hero. So the Frostbite will fall off, ideally, if you get the kicker of defeating that enemy.
Right.
But it just guarantees that there's an upgrade there, right? You don't have to find it like Cyclops, like a nerd. You just attack, and the upgrade is there. Battle Fury is another great one.
Can you do that in the same attack? Can you attach the Frostbite, and then...
Yes.
Yes.
If you attack, it doesn't have a Frostbite on there. The interrupt puts it on there, and then when the card resolves, like, the upgrade's already there.
Yep, exactly.
I think that's
that's
cool.
how the timing on
It's
that works.
pretty awesome. The timing on it's pretty awesome.
Battle Fury is great. I think it's an underused card.
Yeah, it works great here.
Yeah, works great. Just like if you don't kill something, just ready up. And he loves to ready. And Target Spotter, just a great minion collection tool. So yeah, this is really cool.
And the battle furies here work especially great, I think, because with aggressive conditioning and your power belt, your hit points get up to like 17. And I'm often playing in multiplayer with a protection player who's defending me anyway. So you're use those battle furies that your hit points are a resource for those more than anything else, which is great.
Yeah.
I agree. But
The
those
only
aggression
thing I
for
would-
protection players to work.
The only thing I would maybe include here is a Blood Rage, which does more of the same, which is like when you defeat something,
Sure.
you take a damage and draw a card.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not necessary, but if you're just going to be slapping minions all the time, it's another way for him to use those hit points to help his economy. But
Yep.
yeah, this is really great. Love it. Okay, let me stop sharing this, and then I will share the deck that I made. And I do apologize in advance. There may be some GIFs. Let's just try to maybe cut the GIFs out here. I'm gonna
Our friend
shrink the
Boomguy
window.
is a fan of a GIF here and there.
I mean, this
Look,
is
a GIF
becoming a running
enjoyer.
theme. It wouldn't be Boom
It
Guy
is a
sharing
bit of a
deck
theme.
if there wasn't.
I'm here to give the
GIF
people what they
looping.
want. Okay, the
Yeah.
people want gifts. So here is the deck that I am going to share. It is a leadership deck. If you are watching this on YouTube, you get to see the deck. If you're not watching this on YouTube, you should click the link. I don't want to read it all. So I'm just going to kind of talk generally through what we're doing. It is a leadership deck. It is 40 cards, so you know it's good. It includes a bunch of allies, and we're kind of, this has become like maybe the most fun way for me to play Bobby. I don't do a ton of like ally swarm decks generally. I don't think it's always super fun, but I do think it really works for Bobby. So I have a bunch of X-Men allies and Utopia, of course. I have Uncanny X-Men in this deck because that card is broken. So it reduces the cost of all your X-Men and gives them extra hit points. There are a few here that I will shout out. For example, Cyclops is just an awesome one. You're going to put him in, and every one of the tables is going to get increased attack, probably on the villain. Mirage is a great tech that I love for Iceman because when she enters play, you choose an enemy with whose scheme is less than Mirage's thwart and stun that enemy. If you've frostbitten somebody, she has a 2 thwart that reduces it, so it can, take a 2 scheme villain and make it 1 scheme with a frostbite, and then Mirage gets a stun, so it's effectively, Mockingbird, but also gives him a ready. We also have maybe my favorite card in this whole deck, which is You Got This. That's a 1-cost leadership event. It's a hero response. After you exhaust your hero to make a basic thwart or attack, you discard an ally you control and add that ally's matching power to your hero's power for this use, and then ready your hero. So there's a bunch of allies in here. Basically, all of them are disposable. But the great thing about You Got This is you do not have to exhaust your ally. So Professor X can come in, ready you, confuse something, then you thwart for 3, then you can You Got This and toss Professor X, or you can toss Mirage after she's gotten the stun, whatever. It's just about readying him up. It's not a complicated deck, but it's just a really fun way for me to play him. Team building exercises here, and X-Gene and Def Focus for resource generation. Build support can go find Uncanny X-Men if you don't find it right away. And then strength in numbers because you just draws you more cards, and You Got This is just going to toss them in the trash anyway. So this is the deck. If you want the full list, you can look it up, but that's kind of the flow of it. This is probably, like I said, the most fun way that you can just build Iceman right now for me. And it works in any scenario. It doesn't rely on anything. It can do everything you need. And it's just a good time. It lets you lean into like doing lots of frostbites, which is cool.
Yeah, I like it.
Thoughts from either of you?
The You Got This, I think, is really clever. Getting readies in leadership, I think, other than Utopia, is not super common. So that's a really great include, especially for Iceman. Every time you get a ready, you're probably getting another frostbite out there one way or another. So yeah, I love it. Looks fun.
Yeah,
Loving
LT, I know it's
seeing-
leadership and it's allies, but what do you say?
I'm loving seeing more allies decks, and to put this bluntly, kill them for value. I like seeing people not just spam allies because they want a meat shield. It's fun to actually have to play cards to have an effect instead of just exist. And I think it's becoming more and more interesting. They may even bring me over to the dark side eventually. One of these days they may get me. But as of right now, I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think this is a fun archetype too. I agree. I published a deck in the summer of 2025, I want to say, with Cyclops called Team Yeeter. And that was about the same idea, putting them into play and then tossing them. So trying to sneak attack a bunch of X-Men in and then throwing them away for, I forget what's the card. There's one that deals damage equal to their cost and one that does thwarting equal to their cost and leadership. It's the same idea. I really love the archetype of like just tossing them away to provide value in other ways. That's just something I think is fun. So that is, this is called Let's Kick Some Ice. I will publish this in time for the episode and you'll be able to see the GIF where the deck gets its name. Yeah.
Nice.
Lots of good Iceman GIFs here. If you're watching this on YouTube, you got a sneak peek. Okay.
Sneak peek.
That is the episode for today. Bannanners, thank you for coming back. This is your second episode. So
Yes.
Thank you for coming on again.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
for maintaining that spreadsheet for anybody who's curious about all the ratings and all the gold stars and 2 stars and thumbs downs that I've given over the years. Some have been numerical ratings too, but there's been a few non-numerical ratings. And I'm sure that
You've been
A couple.
better at giving the numerical ones as time has gone on. Yeah, it was a little rough in the beginning.
I should have given some
Early
other ratings
Boomguy.
today. I didn't think about it.
The early Boomguy was on a tear. We couldn't
That
control
guy's
him.
crazy.
We
That
couldn't
guy's
keep him
crazy.
in. We couldn't keep him down.
Crazy.
He just did whatever he wanted.
He was off the rails, but you know he's reined it in a little bit. He's a man of the people now, and we all love him. No, but thank you for coming on. It was great to talk to you again. It's
Yeah,
always great to
anytime.
talk champions. I hope I will see you in person again at the Con of Heroes in Minnesota next year.
If
It was
things
good
go
to get
according
some
to plan,
games
I
in
will
there.
be there. Yeah.
Are you planning to be there?
I am planning to be there. I mean, it's a while away. We'll see how
Yeah,
things
that's
go,
true.
but that is the goal, is to go back. Yeah, I had a great time last year and would love to do it again. Yep.
Yeah, so fun. All right, LT, thank you also for being here today and sharing thoughts on the coolest hero in the game.
Well,
It's always
I don't
good
know
to hear
about that. I
your-
don't even think you agree with that. What are we doing here?
He's
he
the
is
coolest hero.
objectively the coolest.
That is an objective fact.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think that's an objective fact. I think that's not true.
Who has a lower body temperature than
Who
Iceman
has a
in this
lower
game?
body temperature? than
Lower body
Iceman?
temperature?
He is the
Star-Lord.
coolest.
The coolest.
No, I don't get it here.
The coolest.
No, you can keep
Star-Lord is
explaining.
ice
You can
cold.
keep explaining the joke, and I'm gonna keep blunt forcing it.
Listeners, how can we get LazyTitan to understand? Leave a comment and let me know how we get it through his skull.
Just so we're
that
clear,
Iceman is the
chat.
coolest.
Just so we're clear, I do understand the joke. I'm doing what's called rage baiting.
Next time I'll bring a thermometer.
Yeah,
Exactly.
rage bait me some more followers on YouTube. Just kidding.
That's what I'm here
If you
for.
like the podcast, subscribe. If you don't like the podcast, just don't unsubscribe and just don't watch. Okay. Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks everybody for listening. Thank you both for being here, and we'll see everybody in the next episode. Bye, everyone.
Later.